Hello again, viewers. Today's incredible story comes to us from subscriber Shaun, all the way from England. Shaun takes us back 15 years to when he was a 22-year-old lad from Blackpool, more interested in online gaming than international romance. But a random ICQ message from a girl in Thailand named Lek would unexpectedly set him on a path that would change his life forever. From late-night chats about a seemingly fairy tale land of temples and exotic beauty, despite warnings from his mates about ladyboys and passport hunters, Shaun found himself drawn into an online connection that felt surprisingly real. But when he abruptly stopped replying, letters from across the globe revealed a deeper connection than he'd realized. This is the story of how a virtual friendship blossomed into a real-life love story spanning continents, filled with missed connections, a whirlwind romance in Spain, a fateful meeting in Phuket, and ultimately a life built together in Thailand. Get ready for a truly unique and heartwarming tale of how a chance encounter online led to a life Shaun could never have imagined. Right then, let me set the scene properly, pull you right into my world back then. I'm 37 now, a lad from Blackpool, born and bred, and there's nothing I enjoy more than sinking a few pints with my mates down the pub. But rewind 15 years, back to when this whole thing started, and Thailand was as alien to me as the dark side of the moon. I knew bugger all about their way of life, the country itself, or the people. The point I really want to start this story from is when I was 22. Fresh out of a 5-year relationship with my English girlfriend. Truth be told, probably because I was disappearing too much into the rabbit hole of online gaming. Sad, I know, but that's where my head was at. I was properly gutted at the time, heartbroken even, but the internet was this whole new world opening up to me, and I was absolutely loving it. ICQ, that was the king of communication back then, the way I kept in touch with the lads and started dipping my toes into this massive online ocean. It's important you understand where I was at, a bit lost and lonely, but also buzzing with the possibilities of this digital frontier. So there I was, probably slumped in my gaming chair, another night blurring into the next in front of the screen, when suddenly that familiar uh-oh pinged from ICQ. I glanced over, not really expecting anything out of the ordinary, and saw a random username pop up. This girl, who we'll call Lek, not her real name, mind you, had apparently taken a shine to my second name, of all things, and just decided she wanted to strike up a conversation. Now, at that point in my life, the furthest I'd probably been was a boozy weekend in Magaluf with the lads. I'd never spoken to anyone from Asia before, never mind Thailand, so curiosity got the better of me. I thought, why not, and decided to fire back a message. Little did I know that random uh-oh was the start of something that would completely flip my life upside down. To cut a long story short, I really enjoyed chatting with this girl, and so every night I would wait for the uh-oh sound so we could begin to chat. She would tell me all about Chiang Mai and what she was doing. It was like a big fairy tale to me, with temples, exotic women, and all that kind of stuff. I knew deep inside that I shouldn't get involved with these kinds of women on the internet. Everybody at work was saying things like, she's a ladybody, she's after an English passport, etc. And after a while, I started to get phone calls at work. She was just asking what was I doing, and how was I. Nothing menacing at all. I loved it. The novelty of chatting to Lek online was starting to wear off, if I'm honest. The lads at work were giving me constant stick, you know how it is, taking the mick out of me for talking to some girl on the other side of the world I'd never even clapped eyes on. And the boredom of just sitting there, typing away to someone who felt a million miles away, started to get to me. It all felt a bit pointless, like some daft fantasy that would never actually happen. So I did the typical bloke thing and just stopped replying to her ACQ messages. I figured that would be the end of it. But then the letters started arriving. Proper handwritten letters, all the way from Thailand, asking where I'd gone, saying she'd wait for me to come back. Reading those words, knowing she was actually putting pen to paper for me, someone she'd only ever known through a computer screen. It got to me. I cried a few times, I'm not ashamed to admit it. I really liked this girl, even though it sounds daft, because I'd never actually met her in person. There was something about her messages, her openness, that just clicked with me. I wanted so much to just pack my bags and go be with her, but it felt utterly impossible, like something out of a movie. Eventually, the sensible part of my brain kicked in, or maybe it was just the fear of the unknown, and I decided enough was enough. This online romance, however real it felt, just wasn't going anywhere. It was time to move on, even though it bloody hurt. So that whole emotional roller coaster with Lek eventually petered out after about 6 months. The letters slowed down, then stopped altogether, and life in Blackpool just sort of went back to normal. I got my head down with work, spent my evenings gaming with the lads, and the rest of the time was just sleeping to recharge for the next day. That carried on for a good 5 years, a pretty routine existence really. Lek was always there in the back of my mind, a little what if, but life moved on. Then, as you do when you're a single bloke in Blackpool, I met another girl while I was out on the pool one night. This one was different though. What started out as just messing about eventually turned into a proper, serious relationship. That lasted for about a year, but if I'm honest with myself, I wasn't truly happy. Something just felt off. Eventually, we both realized it wasn't right, and we decided to call it quits. That breakup, though not as raw as the one with my English girlfriend years before, still left me feeling a bit lost again. Like I was searching for something I couldn't quite put my finger on. And you know what? That old feeling, that little flicker of what if about Lek in Thailand started to creep back in. So there I was, single again and feeling a bit restless, when my mate at the time decided we were in dire need of a proper getaway. Ibiza was the first thing that came to mind, the usual lads' holiday destination for sun, sea, and a bit of a rave. We even trekked over to the Trafford Centre, all geared up to book it in the travel agents. We were sat there, flicking through brochures and about to put down a deposit, when he suddenly pipes up, "Hang on a minute, mate. Why don't we actually go somewhere we've always talked about? Somewhere properly different? Thailand." The idea just hit us both out of the blue, that adventurous spark igniting. We didn't even hesitate. We went straight back to my place, fired up the laptop and booked flights and a hotel on Expedia to Patong in Phuket. And you won't believe it. The second Thailand flashed up on the screen. It was like a dam had burst in my head. All those old memories of Lek, those letters, that whole online connection, it all came flooding back, stronger than ever. It was like this trip wasn't just a random holiday anymore. Suddenly felt like something more significant. A chance encounter with a ghost from my past. So off we went, my mate and I, to the craziness of Phuket. For 3 weeks we threw ourselves into the whole Patong bar scene, the nightlife, the beaches, the full tourist experience, you know. It was a proper lads' holiday, a bit wild, a bit messy, but a good laugh. Then we came back to England, back to the same old routine. But something had changed in me. I couldn't shake the feeling I had in Thailand. It was more than just a holiday. There was an energy, a freedom about the place that had really grabbed me. So, not long after we got back, I was chatting with another mate. And before you knew it, we were online booking another trip, back to the exact same spot in Patong just 5 months later. Needless to say, I was completely hooked. I absolutely loved the place, the culture, the people. Even the chaos of Patong had a strange kind of charm for me. And that second trip, well, that's when things would really get interesting, as you will see later. Right around the time I was getting completely smitten with Thailand, my boss at work, a proper footy fanatic, asked if I fancied going over to Madrid with him and a few of his mates to watch Real Madrid play, staying out there for a couple of nights, all expenses paid. Well, I wasn't going to say no to that, was I? We flew over, had a cracking time. The atmosphere at the Bernabeu was electric, and the Spanish beer wasn't bad either. Then, one of the nights, we ended up in an Irish bar, as you do when you're abroad. And that's where I met this Spanish girl. She was absolutely stunning, and we just clicked straight away. We spent the whole evening chatting, laughing. You know how it is. The next night, I found myself back at her place. And honestly, it felt like something out of a dream. Suddenly, all thoughts of Thailand, all that growing infatuation, just vanished. I was completely and utterly smitten. I was in love, or at least what my 20-something brain thought was love. This Spanish girl, this whirlwind romance in Madrid had completely blindsided me. It felt intense, exciting, like nothing I'd ever experienced before. Thailand suddenly seemed a million miles away. Back in England, the Spanish girl was constantly on my mind. Every night, without fail, I'd be on the phone to her, racking up a fair old bill, I reckon. We'd talk for hours about everything and nothing, and that feeling of being head over heels just kept getting stronger. So I decided I had to go back out there, properly this time, and I booked a flight to go and spend Christmas with her in Spain. It felt like the most romantic thing I'd ever done. We had an absolutely amazing time. Madrid at Christmas is beautiful, and being with her just felt right. But here's the really crazy bit, the twist in the tale that even I couldn't have predicted. The day I was flying back to England from Spain, December 31st, New Year's Eve, was the exact same day I was booked to fly out to Thailand for that second trip with my mate. Talk about a clash of continents and emotions. I went from this intense, passionate Christmas romance in Spain straight to the airport to jump on a plane to Thailand, the place that had also started to hold a strange kind of pull for me. It was a bizarre feeling, leaving one potential love interest for a place that held the ghost of another. My head was spinning, to say the least. Right, so picture the scene. I'm buzzing after this incredible Christmas in Spain, completely wrapped up in this whirlwind romance with the Spanish girl, calling her every night, the whole shebang. But then, about 2 weeks before I was due to jet off for my second Thailand trip, something weird happened. Somehow, and honestly, my memory's a bit hazy on the exact details, probably a late night scroll through some old messages or something. I ended up getting back in touch with Lek. It was bizarre. Suddenly, I was juggling these two completely different worlds. Most nights, I'd be on the phone, sometimes one after the other, sometimes even messaging both of them at the same time. And the crazy thing was, I had genuine, deep feelings for both of them, in completely different ways, of course. A lot of the time, when I was actually in Spain over Christmas, Lek was trying to get hold of me, but I was so caught up in the Spanish bubble that I was probably ignoring her calls or giving her short replies. It was a proper head scrambler, a confusing mess of emotions and continents. But despite the Spanish romance taking center stage at that point, I'd already made plans with Lek. We'd agreed all those years ago in our online chats that if I ever came to Thailand, we'd meet. And now with this second trip booked, we'd actually arranged to meet up. She was working as a manager now, living a whole different life in Sriracha near Bangkok, with a nice car and a nice house, or so she'd told me. The plan was for her to fly down from Bangkok to meet me at Phuket airport when I arrived. I had this Spanish girl on my mind, but in a few weeks I was actually going to meet the Thai girl I'd spent years chatting to online. My life was getting seriously complicated. So there I was, back in the familiar chaos of Phuket with my mate, and honestly, I was having an absolute blast. The beaches, the nightlife, the freedom of being away, I was properly in my element. And then, as planned, Lek flew down from Bangkok to meet me at the airport. Only, I didn't go. I just didn't turn up. She called me later, said she'd waited there for hours, feeling lost and confused. Even now, I don't really have a good excuse for why I didn't go. Maybe the excitement of being back in Thailand had completely taken over. Or maybe my head was still too full of the Spanish girl. The intensity of that Christmas romance still clouding my judgment. Whatever the reason, I messed up big time. Later that day, after she'd flown all the way back to Bangkok, she called my hotel room, her voice choked with tears. It was during that call that the whole messy situation started to unravel. You see, back then, MSN Messenger was still the main way to chat online, and I was stupidly trying to keep in touch with both Lek and the Spanish girl. I remember being in some internet cafe in Patong, trying to juggle these two conversations. In a moment of utter carelessness, I sent a message in Spanish, full of te amo esto and te amo aquello, thinking I was sending it to the Spanish girl. Only I sent it to Lek. She was obviously confused by the Spanish, so she did the only thing she could think of. She asked her boss, who happened to be an English bloke, to translate it for her. Well, you can imagine the scene. Suddenly, the truth was out in the open. The Spanish girl, the declarations of love in a foreign language. The shit had well and truly hit the fan. Lek was heartbroken, and rightly so, and I was left feeling like the world's biggest idiot. The phone call with Lek was brutal. Her voice was raw with hurt, and rightly so. There was no room for my pathetic excuses or attempts to smooth things over. She laid it on the line, plain and simple. I had to choose. It was her or the Spanish girl. No more playing games. I remember lying on Patong Beach that day, the sun beating down, the waves crashing in the background. But all I could hear was her voice in my head. My mind was a complete whirlwind, trying to weigh up two completely different relationships. Two different women on opposite sides of the world. It was an impossible decision, and the weight of it felt crushing. Eventually, I picked up the phone and called her back. I told her, maybe more out of guilt and a sense of what I should do, rather than pure, unwavering love at that moment, that I wouldn't bother with the girl from Spain anymore. I said I wanted to be with her, with Lek, and I asked her to come down from Bangkok again to see me. To my surprise, and maybe because there was still a flicker of something between us after all those years, she agreed. A few days later, there she was. After all those years of typing messages across continents, of building this image in my head, I finally met the girl from ICQ. And honestly, she was everything I'd imagined and more. She was so perfect, so kind, so understanding despite everything I put her through. Standing there with her in person, it felt surreal, like a chapter from my online life had finally bled into reality. Right, so to cut a long story short, because a lot happened in those next 2 years, we basically spent the entire time visiting each other. It became our routine. She'd fly over to England, brave the Blackpool weather, and meet my mates, bless her, about 3 times in those 2 years. And I, completely smitten, would hop on a plane to Thailand roughly 4 times a year, eager to be back in her world. I absolutely loved being with her. Even when we were on opposite sides of the planet, we spent every single night for 2 solid years glued to MSN, talking for hours, sharing every little detail of our days. It was like we were never truly apart. It felt inevitable, really. We got engaged, had a massive, proper Thai engagement party in Chonburi with all her family and friends. A real eye-opener for a lad from Blackpool. Then, about 7 years ago now, we made it official and got legally married at a registry office in Bangkok. It was a small, simple affair, but it was ours. After that, she made the huge decision to quit her job, sell her lovely house in Sriracha, and come to live with me in England. That was 7 years ago, and we've built a fantastic life together here. We even designed and built our own house, a proper home for us. Last year, even though we were already legally married, we decided to have a proper wedding ceremony in Bangkok, the whole shebang. It was incredible. All my family and friends, the lot of them, flew out to Thailand for the first time. They absolutely loved the place, the culture, everything. Her parents even flew down from Chiang Mai, so everyone finally met each other. It was a truly amazing time, a real celebration of our journey and how far we'd come. Back in England after the wedding, life was brilliant. We were so happy, properly settled. And then we had our first child, a beautiful little daughter. It was the most incredible feeling, and everyone, our families, our friends, was over the moon. But around that time, things started to get a bit tough for me work-wise. The recession hit the construction industry hard, and suddenly jobs were drying up, money got tight, and I started to feel this real pull to move away from the UK, to find a fresh start somewhere else. We looked into Australia, even went as far as sending off our visa applications, but eventually we both felt that Thailand was where we were meant to be. So we made the big decision, and here we are now living in Chiang Mai. It's been about 7 weeks so far, and it already feels like home. But things are a bit complicated at the moment. I have to fly back to England in just 3 days for a week, which means leaving my wife and our tiny 3-month-old baby girl. It's going to be tough, I know. I'm also facing up to making myself bankrupt back in the UK. The house we built lost a lot of value and wages just went downhill. But honestly, I don't mind. We're genuinely happy here. My wife has just landed a new job, which is fantastic news. We've got a nice plot of land where we're planning to build our own place, our forever home, and I'm really keen to start exploring some kind of online business to make a living here. It feels like a new chapter, a bit scary, but also full of exciting possibilities. Leaving them for that week is going to be the hardest part, but I know this is the right move for our little family. That's my story of how the last 15 years have started and ended with Thailand. It would have been such a different tale without Thailand, but not as much of a happy one. So there you have it, Shaun's incredible journey from Blackpool to building a life in Thailand, all sparked by a simple O on ICQ. What did you think of Shaun's story? Were you surprised by the twists and turns? Have you ever had a similar experience with online connections leading to real-life relationships? Let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. We always love reading what you have to say. If you enjoyed hearing Shaun's heartwarming tale, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more unique stories like this one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.